Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. You guys will never believe like what I'm usually doing right before these things go live. I'm trying to like get in the groove, or you'll see me be like to try to like calm my parasympathetic or whatever it's called nervous system. So you probably got a little bit of me hyping myself up in that first scene. But hello, good morning, good morning. I'm super excited to be here with you all today. We already have a lot of people tuning in for this really exciting and awesome thing that we have not talked about yet. We've never gone over this topic. And today we are going to be talking about unique tips that you more than likely have not heard anywhere else as it relates to the print on demand space. So I'm super, super excited about that. But before we dive in, as always, I first of all want to say hello to everyone who is able to join us live today. Hello, hello. And then secondly, I also want to say good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time you're watching this. If you are watching the replay instead, we still love you. We are sorry you couldn't make it live, but if you have any questions while we're going through this today, feel free to drop any questions, comments, concerns, whatever in the comments for me on this video, and I personally will respond to you. Everybody who's watching live, if you've been here before, you know all you got to do is drop a comment in the live chat, and I will periodically throughout the entire live training today get in there and answer all of your questions, okay? And good morning, Tracy. She just called me out. Hi. For those that are new, also, hi, I'm Leslie. If you don't know who I don't even know what my title is. I don't think I have a title. I just do things with you guys every week. You might have seen me on a couple of YouTube videos, to say the least. So today we are going to jump into some unique print on demand tips. Now, I want to let you guys know this is going to be something that doesn't have to be like, if you're not a print on demand seller already, this is still going to be for you, because we're going to go over some unique things that can also be applied to other different types, whether you are a handmade seller, a digital product seller, or even a service-based seller. Or if you have been thinking about getting into print on demand, but you don't really know where to start, or you kind of want to get a leg up on everybody else before you dive in, fantastic. That's what we're also going to go over here today as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in just a quick moment. But if you've been here before, you know probably the next thing I'm going to ask. I am going to plug myself really fast and plug EverBee. We do go live every single Thursday for you guys, and we do post a brand spanking new video every Tuesday. So what I would love for you guys to do right now is, while you're watching this video, whether you're live or whether you're on the replay, if you can go ahead and do me a quick favor and like this video that you're watching right now. And if you are new, go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well, because like I mentioned, not only do I go live for you guys every Thursday like this, but I also post a video with even more deep diving tips and tricks, a little bit easier to digest and consume. I'm talking 5 minutes to 15-minute videos that you can easily apply every Tuesday. Also, if you were not on last week's live with us, we actually have 3 special guests. I usually only interview one person per quarter, but I decided let's go ahead and bring some more, especially as the Q4 season comes upon us and as we're getting ready to even start thinking about 2025, which I know is crazy because it's only July 25th, but we are already more than halfway through 2024. So make sure again to subscribe and make sure to cut your notifications on for our channel so that you can be notified when we do a Coffee with EverBee takeover in 1 per month with 3 special multi-6-figure print on demand, Etsy, digital products, all of the above guests. Okay. So without further ado, I'm done chatting y'all's ears off with random housekeeping things. Let's go ahead and share my screen and dive in. Again, as always, please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. But if you've been on these, you also know that I have severe ADHD, so I am going to hide the comments for now, or I will literally answer all of them as they come in. So we're going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm also going to hide the comments, but I will check in back periodically throughout this entire call. Okay. Let's go ahead and add to stage. Here we go. All right. So, like I said, it does not matter if you are brand spanking new to POD, you're already a POD seller, or you're, again, maybe even thinking that you might want to start adding print on demand items into your shop. This is going to be for you. We are going to go over, if I'm not mistaken, I wanted to do 7 tips. But y'all know, if you've been here, I'm crazy. And I was like, 7's not enough. So I gave you 12, 12 tips that we are going to go over today. And hopefully I can get through all of them. But of course, as I complete a couple of tips, if you have any questions about that tip that I can help address on this, feel free to drop it in. And since there's 12 of them, let's just go ahead and commit to, after every third tip that I go over, I will jump into the comments and see if there's anything I can address. Okay? Sound good to you guys? Fantastic. Let's go. All right. Hot tip number 1. This is also just for anything we do. I don't want to say it's just for print on demand. That's why I said, even if you have no desire to get into print on demand, but you enjoy listening to my voice for whatever reason every single Thursday, you can still use this tip. Okay. So get outside of your comfort zone when you're thinking about products to sell. As we know, as Etsy sellers, as potential Etsy buyers, there are so many t-shirts, crew necks, even hoodies. Hoodies were a place that was unsaturated a couple years ago, and now even that's gone crazy. Comfort colors was a place that was unsaturated until a bunch of YouTubers and TikTokers, myself included, I'm not going to lie, started talking about the potential that comfort colors listings could bring to you, and now that's oversaturated. So what I want you guys to do is think about, again, if you're not using print on demand yet, just start vetting some companies. If you are using print on demand, in this particular case, I want you to check out what else your print provider has to offer. And then that are unique. And then I want you to actually validate them. So if you guys have been on any of these trainings with me in the past, you know that I am a huge data-driven girl. I love analytics. I believe numbers tell a story. So what I don't want you to do is start going through the catalog of your print on demand provider and being like, ooh, I love swimsuits. That's just the first random thing that came to my head. Or I love journals, or I love magnets. I think that could sell. Don't think, just confirm. Okay. So I don't want you to just come up with all these really cool ideas because you looked in the catalog of your POD partner and saw all these really dope things. What I want you to do instead is to actually validate those really dope things in Etsy themselves. So a couple of quick examples that I just personally looked through myself this morning, for example. Luggage tags, personalized. As you can see, it says personalized everywhere. It doesn't have to. This was just an example that I was using. So luggage tags, they are being looked up. So we got, decent search. Over 1,300 people are actively looking up luggage tags. I see something like this doing really well in the summer or pre-summer, because usually this is the time when people are traveling. I also see this doing really, really well as Q4 comes, simply because people are also going to be traveling to see their family, or they're going to be traveling for the holidays, whatever the case may be. So that's number 1. And you're going to see less than 30,000 people, not people necessarily, but listings are competing for that space. So no, I don't want you to use luggage tags personalized as your keyword necessarily. You totally could. It's a good keyword. But what I want you to do is think, okay, which of the things in my catalog, in my print on demand provider's catalog, could I, first of all, even be interested in? Let's say they have 50 things you can choose from. Let's say you like 7 of them that you feel are unique. I want you to go to Etsy. I want you to type it into the search bar. And then I want you to click, especially if you have the EverBee extension downloaded. If you don't, I highly recommend. We have a free plan. So it's literally costing you nothing to do this, but sign up if you haven't. And then what you're going to do once you type it into the search bar is click see more next to what I call the little worker bees. So that's basically like luggage tags personalized, and then 4 other things come up once you drop it into the Etsy search, and then a little bee pops up and then it'll say 1352 searches. Then there's going to be a tiny little see more thing right next to that. Once we click on that, it is going to take us directly here to the keyword research tool within EverBee that is going to break down that tag or that group of tags even further. So, personalized socks is another example. I found even more search and comparable competition to luggage tags. And then, last but not least, personalized cutting board. Look at that number, guys. 2,600 people are actively looking up how to get a cutting board with their name on it or to buy a cutting board for somebody else with their name on it. I personally sold personalized cutting boards for, I want to say like 6 months, 2 years ago. Whenever, by the way, I was making these handmade. It wasn't print on demand, which I don't recommend because it took a long time. But nonetheless, I was selling these to real estate brokers and real estate agents for like what's it called, house like closing gifts or house seller gifts. So if someone is about to move into a new home and that broker or that agent sold that home to them, we would create personalized cutting boards that actually had their name and their new address on it. So that was a really, really good one that we got literally tens of thousands of dollars on, simply because not only was it an unsaturated, or I don't want to say unsaturated. Obviously, we have 63,000 as competition, but a lower competition compared to nurse t-shirt, of course. But it also was an underserved niche, in my opinion. So what I mean by that is like real estate brokers or home buying gifts, stuff like that. So that was, kind of a way of cross niching to potentially underserved markets. Okay. So recap of step one, I want you to go into your current or others if you don't have one yet, and just search through their catalog. Think about something that you might be interested in, pinpoint those down, write them in your little spreadsheet, head back to Etsy, validate them. Okay? Step one, or hot tip number one, if you will. Hot tip number two is once we decide what we want to move forward with. So again, I want it to be unique options, but I also want it to be in demand. So don't just go after the thing that you like, go after the thing that people are actively searching. Once you do that, I also want you to think about how you could potentially bundle them. So I gave you two quick examples that I've personally done in the past here that might be beneficial. Again, this is a hot, unique tip. It's not something that you immediately need to jump in and start doing as a beginner print on demand seller. However, if you've been doing it for a little while and you know how to create bundles in the first place, you know how to market them, you know how to create listing photos that convert people to purchase more than one item at one time, this is a fantastic option for you. So I put two different options or examples that I've personally done in the past. I did a dog collar from my print on demand. Actually, I think I have it. Oh no, I don't. Shoot, it's actually it's on my key ring downstairs because my dog literally uses it. But I basically created the same aesthetic or the same design. I think I have my leash right here if I can find it fast enough. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So sorry, I had to get off screen for a second because it was over here. So I created this leash. Okay, so it's like regular leash, and it had this cute design on the top. And then I created a corresponding pet collar or dog collar with this same design, but it was a personalized collar that allowed you to put the names or the nicknames that you gave your dog or whatever else you wanted to do. So that's a quick example of what I mean by creating a bundle POD listing that has more than one item. Another one here is a dog. I've done this in the past. A dog bowl paired with a matching mat. So again, same aesthetic, same design aesthetic, but two different products. Okay. Let's build a little bit off of that. There's also this option, which I didn't write down, but I realized after I started looking into examples, is even a bundle of two different dog bowls. So we all know, theoretically speaking, your dog needs to drink water and your dog needs to eat food. So I loved this idea of a dinner and drinks. I've also seen a hilarious pairing of tacos and tequila. I thought that was so funny and I bought it. My dog literally uses that. So something like that could be another way to bundle without making it look like it's a bundle. So it's not, as you can see, they don't have a drop down for options. You're just buying two things at once. You don't have the option to buy one or both. You have the option to buy both. That's it. Like that's the end. So there's one quick example of how you could potentially do a set for that. And then of course, I just found this thing that is not print on demand. However, I do know some print on demand companies are now getting into the skincare and health and beauty space. So potentially, I will leave that up to you guys. I personally do not trust that. I don't know if you guys can tell because I have a filter on, but I have really bad skin. I've always had bad skin since I was probably in fifth grade. So if I tried to buy a print on demand skincare thing or a hair care thing from someone and they didn't like make it themselves or it wasn't naturally based or whatever the case may be, like your girl's going to break out 100%. So I personally have decided to not add any of that stuff, but I do know there are some companies that are offering that. So if that's something that makes sense with your niche, potentially an option. And based on what they're offering to you, you might be able to even bundle them. Okay. Hot tip number 3. I do see some comments over there. Don't worry. I will address you in just a second. We are going to go through 3 tips at a time, and then I'm going to get in and answer all of your questions directly. So hot tip number 3, to be honest, this is technically for everybody, but really, really ultra important for anybody who either wants to get into or is already in POD. Holiday cutoff dates. So especially because you are not going to be shipping, you're not going to be printing, you're not going to be distributing your products. Someone else is going to be doing that. You need to make sure over the next couple of months. Right now, they don't even know their holiday cutoff date. So don't worry about that. But as we get closer to, I want to say like September, October, they're going to start letting you guys know what the holiday shipping and in-hand delivery cutoff dates are. What I want you to hear is you'll see a lot of a bold italicized or bold and all caps fonts for a reason is your holiday cutoff dates are not just from your print on demand company. Okay. They are actually different per actual printer. So you have to understand that like a print on demand company does not print your stuff. They just work with a lot of print on demand providers and actual printers who print your stuff. So you actually have to literally see which holiday cutoff dates apply to each individual type of print on demand printing company. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to be as elaborate as possible here, but just because your print on demand company that you partner with didn't have a holiday cutoff date does not mean that all of the things or the people who are actually supplying, printing, and shipping your items do not. So please be aware that those also might differ based on how many print partners you are currently sourcing your items through. So for example, there's like SwiftPod, Monster Digital, Custom Spoke, or whatever they're called. So if you use all 3 of those, for example, and let's say Monster Digital has a December 10th must order before date in order to receive before Christmas, but then let's say I just forgot the name that I just said a second ago. So let's say the other company, because it's gone now. So the other company has a December 9th or a December 4th even. You will need to make sure that you figure those out per print partner and then make sure that you elicit that in multiple locations as well as update your shipping for those. Okay. So I also wanted to just go a little bit deeper into tip 3, if I haven't already, is once you know those, so once you understand those dates per different partner that you are partnering with, especially if one of these 2 things are happening. One, the cutoff date is earlier than someone might assume. So when people like, we are so, I don't know what the word is, like conditioned to assume because of Amazon that you can get things like that. Like I've actually ordered something on Amazon and I got it in 2 hours, like delivered to my door. And I was like, I thought I was going to at like minimum get this or tomorrow, but I got it in 2 hours. So we have been like conditioned to assume that things are going to get here faster than we probably think that they are able to. But we also, because of Amazon, do refunds and exchanges really easy as well, which most of you guys are not going to want to do if you offer print on demand, which is something we're going to talk about later. The second reason why you would want to do these other hot tips is if the majority of your current bestsellers or anticipated bestsellers. So, again, if you're brand new to this or if you're adding these new products that we're discussing today, if all or like the majority of your shop fall under that earlier than assumed cutoff date, you're going to want to put the information in these locations. I highly recommend going ahead and popping it in your banner. So it's the very first thing they see. So they know exactly what to do when they start purchasing. They need to order now. So not only is this going to help them, but it's also going to help you with like urgency and scarcity marketing tactics. We also want to put it in the shop announcement. And should anything change or should you launch any additional listings that have a new cutoff date because you're using a new partner, whatever the case may be, update that shop announcement as much as possible. Okay. I also want you to put it in the listing descriptions of all affected listings. To be honest, I would probably put it like at the top or in the middle. Like, do not wait until the very bottom where we usually would put information about shipping and processing, about refunds and exchanges. What we want to do instead is let them know that, like, yo, if you don't buy this today, literally will not be there by Christmas. So get on it, fam. So we want to make sure that that is, I don't want to say top of, fold per se, but like as high up as you can get it after you give them the most important information about your listing. And of course, the SEO that you need to be able to be found in search. Lastly, this is up to you. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything I say, to be honest, but I would recommend it. But the last thing, again, optional, but it could be a photo as well. Maybe the second photo or even the 10th photo in your affected or impacted listings. Again, this is only talking about holidays or Q4. So I don't need you to do this all year long, but I really wanted to make sure you guys were aware of something like this before it happens so you can start curating all of this stuff and you can start gearing up for it. So what I wanted to say here really quickly is you don't have to do a photo over and over and over again. You can just make one photo that is applicable to that particular print partner's particular cutoff date. And then you just apply that to any particular listing that is being sourced by them. Okay. Hope that makes sense. I know we got some comments over here, so I'm going to answer them now. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a quick second and let's address these comments. Okay, how does POD do personalization? Good question, Jordan. So we're actually going to go over this. It's actually one of my tips, so I'm glad you brought it up. So I will pause on this one, but POD personalization, that's 90% of what I used to offer last year. It is very doable. You just have to do manual processing compared to automatic processing. And then you have to update the design every time you make a sale. So we'll get into that in just a second. Jordan also asked, how do you bundle? That's a good question also. So to be honest, you're not going to do it. That's why I said, I kind of prefaced it with like, this is probably not for beginners, but it is something that you should look into. So what you're going to have to do is find the items and the price and the variations and everything else for the items you want to sell. So again, let's just say dog leash and dog collar, for example's sake. You find both of those, their respective pricing, their respective shipping cost, their respective, information. So like, how should you take care of them? What's the size? Whatever. You grab all of that from your print on demand provider. Okay. Step one. Step two is you apply a design to both of them. And then you basically save that in your like drafted designs, I guess, or drafted print on demand listings, whatever you want to call it, that's not live on your Etsy shop. Step two. Step three is you're actually going to go into Etsy and generate a manual listing. So you're not going to build it in your print on demand provider and click publish. You're not going to do that. What you're going to do instead is click save as draft that in your print on demand provider listings. Then go to Etsy and generate a brand spanking new listing, and then basically show through the title, through the description, and through the photos that it is a bundle of however many items. And then every single time that you get an order, you have to go back into Etsy, or excuse me, go back into your print provider and then basically create a manual order with the shipping and customer information from Etsy. Bring that over to Printify, create a manual order, and select the 2 or 3 or 7 different items that they decided to bundle. Okay, hope that makes sense. Someone asked in all caps, how to list 2 or more products. I'm just kidding. Every time I accidentally send someone all caps, I feel like I'm yelling at them. Angela asked the exact same question, so I hope I was able to address for there. What's the best POD companies out there, not Printify or those? I will encourage you to do your own due diligence on that. I will not be really kind of going over any print-on-demand companies or favoring any, but you can literally type best print-on-demand companies into Google and do your own research. Where would we find the ship by dates? Or the actual print partner? Would they post those somewhere? Yes, very good question. Like I said, it's not a thing right now. I just wanted, for the sake of the topic we're talking about today, I wanted to make sure I included this, knowing that Q4 is very close on the horizon for us. But yes, Aaron, to answer your question, and a question that maybe a couple other of you might have, is your print-on-demand provider should and will, like if they don't, I would stop working with them currently, but that's just me. But they should and will notify you multiple times. Like I can't even tell you the amount of emails I get from the people I work with every Q4. So they will tell you, and it will also more than likely, again, if they're a good partner, they will also put it on their website for you to be able to easily access throughout that entire time. Okay. How do you delete the shipping cutoff dates after the holiday for multiple items? Good question. And unfortunately, there's really no way to do a bulk edit of that. So the things that we talked about potentially changing are the banner, your shop announcement, your listing description, and potentially one of the photos out of 10. So technically speaking, the shop announcement and the banner can be updated at any time very quickly like that. The listing descriptions and photos are going to be a lot different. However, that's going to be a manual per listing, first of all, to change it in the first place, but also to remove it in the second place. So just keep that in mind. It will be a little bit of manual labor on your part. So it's not a thing that I don't believe you're able to bulk that need. How do you bulk delete these descriptions? Okay, there we go. Already answered. Is Printful and Printify different companies? Like I said, please go ahead and do your own research on what POD companies you should partner with. All right, so that is all the questions from the first 3. We are, oh my God, already 30 minutes in and I still have a lot to go. So let's make sure we can get through it together. Hot tip number 4. I want you to use potentially multiple print providers and vet all of them personally, like by yourself, through sampling. So you can actually order samples of like every single item, if not most items, and then pretend that you're a customer. So how do you feel about the processing and delivering and shipping times? How did you feel about the package that it was shipped in? How did the design print out? How does the material feel? Or let's say you do like phone cases, for example, which, by the way, again, is probably an underserved market if you want to get into it. But let's say you do phone cases and it feels super flimsy, and you as a person would not want to buy that, because what if you drop your phone and then your phone breaks because you got an unstable case, right? So figure out all of those, and then I want you to also, if you're interested, you can create a video based on the thing that you built. So you got these samples from these different print providers. You know which ones you want to move forward with now because you have physically felt them. You have physically experienced it like a customer. So now you can actually create a video and then apply it to any of the applicable listings. And I did put a little note here that you do not have to create a brand new video per listing. You can create a simple 15-second video for each product type. So let's use this shirt, for example. This is a Bella Canvas 3001C. I could take this shirt, I could put it on, I could take it off, I could fold it up, I could hang it up, I could show the front, I could show the back, whatever. And then you can literally apply. Sorry, I have the world's squeakiest chair. I'm so sorry. But you can literally take that one video and apply it to every listing that has a Bella Canvas 3000C like item, shirt, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. All right. I also want to say really quick, when I say multiple print providers, that's what I was alluding to a second ago when I said do your due diligence and the own research for your own business to figure out what print on demand companies you want to partner with. Okay. So, not the individual people or businesses that are sourcing and printing the items, but also the big companies themselves, because they have their own catalogs and there's unique things between each of them that one will have and one won't have, and it might be something you want to get into. So while you're doing step one, or hot tip number one, to research catalogs, it might be beneficial to expand your research to other companies' catalogs as well. Okay. Hot tip number 5, the best part about print on demand is the automated order fulfillment process, simply because you are not hand making anything. You are not printing anything. You are not shipping anything. You are not packaging anything, etc. So what I want to go over really quickly here is some POD providers offer different ways to complete and process an order. They offer automatic processing, which basically means someone buys on Etsy, the order syncs to your print on demand shop, or not shop, but like platform, I guess, your dashboard. The order syncs to, let's say, maybe it takes 2 hours or so. Then they automatically start getting this ready to go. There's another one that's like processing within 24 hours of an Etsy order. So same concept. The order is done 24 hours later. If you haven't made any changes to that order, it will automatically start being processed for you. The third one is manual processing options, where again, you can see here, you actively have to submit the order yourself before they will begin the production process. So I want you to think about, first of all, see what your chosen print on demand provider offers, and then choose which makes the most sense for your business and try to automate the steps as much as possible. However, my little caveat here is if you are doing personalized, or that's supposed to say customized, not customizer, or a customized seller, you should not offer automatic production processing, nor should your automatic production processing triggers be on. So if you're brand spanking new to POD, do your due diligence, do your research, dive deep into the back end of the platform you choose, dive deep into the settings, and figure out what options you have. And if automatic processing is on, but you plan on doing personalized or customized orders, I highly recommend turning them off. The reason why is orders can come in overnight while you're sleeping. And you have, or let's just say you're living your life, you're at Disney World, you're hanging out with your family, you're eating dinner around the table. You haven't had the chance to alter the personalized or customized design yet. So what will happen is basically the new customer will get the old customer's design shipped to them. So highly recommend, do not have automatic processing, only do manual processing if you have even one personalized option in your shop. Okay. One way to automate this process, however, is we actually have a friend who we work with here at EverBee. His name is Steven, and he owns a company called Hello Custom. They actually integrate with multiple print on demand partners in order to help automate the personalized kind of process with POD. So if you want to check them out, by all means, go ahead. Last up, before I get to more comments, is hot tip number 6 is I want you to try to personalize and humanize the POD experience as much as possible. This also applies to my digital product sellers as well. I don't want to say unfortunately, because POD is amazing. Like, it's such an opportunity for you to be able to scale your business very fast and not have to worry about inventory like I have over here, like a bunch of stuff just sitting in a closet waiting to be bought. So it's a very, very awesome opportunity, but it's also less touch points physically, right? And emotionally, potentially. And it's also like kind of been dehumanized a little bit. So anything that you can do to personalize this experience, even if it's as simple as sending multiple touch points via Messenger on Etsy. Like even something as simple as that, but making that a standard practice for your business is going to do volumes for your review rate, your returning customer rate, and of course, just the overall experience for your buyer. So, what I put here is there are some partners that you can work with that actually offer thank you cards, branded inserts, which basically is just ways that you can basically say thank you physically. Like they will actually print that out for you and then package it up in your item. However, if that's not a partner you have, or if you aren't interested in paying the extra fee to have that personalized touch, again, I want you to come up with a process for yourself of reaching out to these people and having multiple touch points per order. So let's just say automatically, thank you for purchasing. We are working on your order right now. That happens immediately, right? We do that one. And then maybe a day later goes by and you're like, hey, just wanted to let you know it looks like we are able to ship your order out in 2 days. I just wanted to keep you informed. All right. So just anything you can do, again, to kind of increase the touch points with those people and increase the kind of personalized experience for them, because they might be wanting to buy personalized items from you as well. So you also might have to add that layer of touch point of going back and forth with them a little bit on what font they want to use, on what name they want to place, stuff like that, what proof you can send them. Okay. All right. So that's hot tip number 6. And I do see a few comments. So I am going to dive into those first before I get to the others. How do you make group ornament listings? On Print Provider, it says that you can get up to 25. How would you show that in the listing drop down menu? That is such a funny question that you bring this up, because it's actually one of the hot tips we're going to talk about is actually selling sets. So we'll get to that in just a second, I promise. Let's see. How does the print I don't want to, I'm sorry, the little couple spelling errors. So I don't want to read this wrong. I apologize. How does the print on demand shop get paid? Oh, good question. Does Etsy pay them from the sale proceeds, or do we pay the print provider directly? Fantastic question. And especially if you're a beginner, this is an absolute must know that I didn't even think about putting in. I'm going to give you guys hot tip number 13 today because of this question. So what's going to happen is you are responsible for paying your print provider. And the thing will not go through, like there won't be a production process started for any orders until you pay. If you're on automatic processing, you're going to automatically be charged every single time, or even the 24-hour processing, whatever. If you are doing manual order processing, the second you click submit and you accept the charges, which includes sales tax, the cost of the item, and the cost that the shipping is going to be. Once you accept all of those charges, you're going to click submit. You are automatically going to get charged to your account. What's going to happen after that is, depending on how old or young of a seller you are, within a couple of days, Etsy will reimburse you. I don't know if that's the right word, but they will reimburse you for not only the cost of shipping, the cost of the item, and the cost of the potential sales tax, but also the profit margin amount that you had on the item. So let's say you pay your print on demand partner $10 in total for this item and to ship this item to this location. You accept that charge, you click submit, but then on Etsy, someone bought it for $20. So obviously, we are immediately going to take away a couple, dollars for Etsy fees and transaction fees. But once you get down to that number, let's just say 18 bucks, then you have now paid $10, but got $8 from Etsy reimbursed to your account within a couple of days. So my hot tip number 13 is I personally use a high points credit card for my print on demand sales. Like if that, not sales, that's the wrong word, purchases, I guess. So in my print on demand provider on my dashboard, I have a high points earning cash back credit card, because I like getting free money. So I put that in there, and that's what they charge over and over again. Then Etsy is going into a checking account or a savings account, whatever you guys want to do. Etsy funds are being deposited into that checking account. And then at the end of the month, or bi weekly or weekly, whatever cadence you want for yourself, I take that amount of money and I pay off that credit card. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Someone said they don't have the ability for a credit card, so that tip is out the door. Interesting. I don't know why someone would not be able to get a credit card. Potentially credit issues, obviously. So I apologize if you're going through that. I would recommend instead doing a, let's say, a debit card or a checking account that has capital already in it. So, for example, I actually did this last year for a digital product store that I launched. I had a $5,000 balance just sitting in there. And then I let print the whatever the print on demand partner was, I let them extract from that number and then Etsy pay me back. So I was never at a net zero because it was kind of playing each other. So if credit card is not something you can do, that is totally fine. Get on the capital investment balance first. Okay. Someone also said, does Etsy provide a way of easily downloading charges every month to separate Etsy charges from profit? That is a very good question. Technically, yes, but it's not very user friendly, to be honest. But if you go to your finances section within your shop manager, you are able to download, I believe, into a CSV, an Excel spreadsheet, whatever. You are able to download the transactions from that month, that quarter, that year. However, they are not, like I said, it's not user friendly. It's not filter friendly. So I highly recommend building your own because they won't necessarily show you the fees that you had to pay them broken out. What they're going to do instead is they're going to have sale, 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 money sent, and the money sent to your account is going to be all of those sales minus the transaction fees. So I hope that answers your question. But I would recommend own your business. Don't let Etsy own your business, and create that spreadsheet and track it and monitor it daily for yourself. How do you know if a message and email you get about a listing is legit? Interesting question. This has nothing to do with print on demand, so I think I'm going to lightly skip over this question if you don't mind, Beverly. But I don't know what you mean by legit. But basically, just use your due diligence to vet if it's a scam or not. That's my answer. All right, let's move on to number 7. All right, I want you, this is honestly, I probably should have put this as number 1 because this is probably the most important tip that is going to potentially save you from getting your shop shut down. So all the things we've talked about so far is how to potentially make more money, how to get more creative. This hot tip is like an absolute must do immediately if you haven't done it yet and you're already selling POD. But also, if you are thinking about getting into this, you have to do this first. So you must be transparent about how you are fulfilling your orders and what your role is in the process. Okay. First of all, you have to put your print partner's information within each listing on Etsy under what's called the production partner section, if you will. Be advised, please, 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 that this is not something that directly comes over from your print on demand provider. This is something that you will have to manually update anytime you launch a POD listing. So please do not forget to do so. I will show you, we'll go over in a second exactly what that means. Secondly, the reason why this is so important is based off of Etsy's new creativity standards, which just went live on July 9th. You absolutely now have to be, again, transparent about your role in the process of executing that item and that fulfillment. If you do not know what the heck I'm talking about with Etsy's creativity standards update, we actually posted a video last Tuesday, which was the video from July 16th. So if you go to our YouTube channel, go to the video section, it is the second video on there. And we did a deep dive for almost 15 minutes telling you exactly what the Etsy's update was on July 9th. However, today I'm going to go over, not in depth, but I'm going to show you guys exactly what they expect from that new creativity standards update as it relates to POD. So you're going to see here, there are some reasons why we want to do POD. Either we want to scale our current shop, we want to be able, or we just don't have the ability ourselves to create these things, whatever. But you have to make sure that you are abiding by, again, the transparency requirements, that you are working with a production partner. So here's exactly how to add a production partner. It's kind of long, but you can literally, by the way, at any time, first of all, you can go to the YouTube channel, you can watch that video, head to the description of the video, and I link all of this for you. So very, very easy to find. Or you can literally go to Google, type in Etsy Creativity Standards Announcement, and all of these links will be provided to you. So I took screenshots, but you can also very easily find the links. So there are several ways to add a production partner. You can either do it while you're adding or editing a current listing in the listing details, or in the listings section of your shop manager, you can select one or multiple listings at once by simply just clicking on the little check boxes next to them, and then just select change production partners. So that is a new thing. I don't know how long ago they did that, but it's so glorious because your girl loves a bulk edit feature, because you don't have to go into each of them individually. So if you've been doing POD for a while and you are just learning about the fact that you have to put this in every single POD listing, I just saved your life. Etsy just saved your life. You have the ability to bulk edit by simply clicking change production partners. But first of all, you have to actually create your production partner profile first. Very simply, shop manager, settings. Once you go to settings, it's literally going to pop up for you partners you work with. Very simple. We know, like, common sense tells me that means probably print on demand partner, right? Click on that. Then you're going to click add new production partner. Then you're going to put your business name if necessary. I didn't have to, but you might have to. Then in the location field, you want to put that partner's city, state, province, etc. So let's say, for example, you have SwiftPod, who is in, I'm just making this up, they're in San Diego, California. You need to make sure that that is what is placed on that partner, that production partner's location. In the About Production Partner section, you are going to describe how you work with them. And again, transparent about what your role is. There's about 3 or 4 different options to select from. Okay. And then, of course, as you can see here, the answers you select in the About Your Partnership drop-down menus are for Etsy's internal use. They won't show up publicly, but when you're building out these listings, because of the new Creativity Standards update, it will say designed by Leslie's shop compared to made by. Okay, so just keep that in mind. After you disclose your production partners, again, like we've talked about in the other pieces of this, is you want to update your About section to be as transparent as possible, maybe even the listings themselves, however. But you most importantly, again, if you've been doing this and you haven't done this yet, highly recommend. Or if you're trying to start brand new and you want to get ahead of it, you're also going to update the listing shipping locations to accurately reflect if they are shipping from a partner's location. This is huge, guys, because last year I got a 1-star review, even though they loved the item. They hated that the item came from China and it said it came from Lansing, Michigan. She thought it was a handmade item because I accidentally did not make this change myself on that one listing. So even though she was happy, it got there within 2 days, even coming from China, she didn't like and she felt misled by my lack of transparency. Again, completely unaware that I even did or did not do that. But now you guys know. Now you guys are aware, so you can start ironing this out for yourself, okay? Hot tip number 8 is, speaking of shipping and processing, I highly recommend, especially during Q4 and the holiday season, if you don't do it all year long, that's fine. But at least if you can have the conversation with yourself that it might be time to do this as we get closer to October, offering a free shipping guarantee. This is going to not only increase your potential sales, of course, because someone could be interested in just not spending more on shipping, but having that one price they have to pay, but it also could increase your visit conversions as well. So when someone sees you within their search and they see that beautiful free shipping in bold under your listing next to your title and your price, more people are inclined. I don't know about you guys, but I sure am. I am more inclined to click on that and go to that listing and give you a visit rather than clicking on something that's right next to it that is the exact same item that is actually cheaper, because I know I don't have to pay shipping. But the hot tip for you guys is you are going to still get your shipping recouped. You're going to actually place the price of what the shipping would be in your price itself. Okay. So let's use our example from earlier again. Let's say you owe $10 and let's say $6 of that is shipping. So the item is $10 that you are paying your POD provider. The shipping is $6 that you are paying your POD provider. Guys, let's do some math together. It's going to be a minimum of $16 for the price plus your profit margin. So let's say your profit margin is 20%. I'm not good at math. Let's say we charge 20 bucks for that item. You are going to receive, again, getting rid of Etsy's transaction fees and stuff, but you are going to get the full amount of the item, the full amount of the shipping, because you included it within the price. Okay. Hot tip number 9, before I dive into any questions, we are running out of time, so I want to make sure I can get to everything if I'm able to. Hot tip number 9 is, if your POD partner allows it, offer sets of items that people can purchase at one time instead of having to click multiple quantities of each item individually. Someone brought up in the comments earlier, and I said that I would get to it soon. My one of my best sellers was actually ornament sets. So we made over $10,000 one month in 2023, literally from this one listing. Or technically, I duplicated the listing a couple of times because it was doing so well, but then all of them became bestsellers because of this. So the answer to your question, the good news is, since your print-on-demand provider that you want to work with, I forgot your name, I apologize, but whoever asked this questions, since they do offer a set, all you have to do is choose which numbers for the sets you want to move forward with. So as you can see, I personally did 5, 10, 15, or 20. And then you're going to choose the design that you want to place on each of those ornaments. What I don't want you to do is, again, it's kind of the same concept as a personalized order. What I don't want you to do is put a design on there and then publish that to your Etsy store. The only way something like this would work is if the design of the ornament is the exact same design for every ornament. So let's say you wanted to make an ornament that was blue snowflakes, and someone could purchase 5, 10, 15, or 20 of them, all one design, blue snowflakes. That is a way that you can click publish and it will automatically go over there. The drop down menu will automatically curate based on the print on demand provider syncing to your Etsy shop. They drop down their menu, they choose 20. Your print production partner literally starts creating 20 of them. However, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want my tree covered in 20 of the same ornament. I want my tree to be covered in a certain aesthetic. So let's say you guys probably know, like, Ray Dunn, for example, was and still is a very big aesthetic. It's like those very thin, long text. So kind of like what I showed earlier with like the drinks and dinner for your pet bowls. So let's say you wanted to do peace, joy, goodwill, nativity. I can't think of anything else. Holiday, Christmas, Noel, whatever. And you took all of those Ray Dunn inspired text and placed them on the individual ornaments themselves. You would need to build a custom listing in Etsy, not in your print on demand partner themselves. The reason why is, again, we are doing multiple designs in the set. Okay. So I hope that makes sense and helps clarify that a little bit more. Oh, wow. I must have said something wrong because seven questions have come in. So let me go ahead and address those right now. Let's see. I got to scroll up a little bit. All right, regarding AI images, I see a lot of shops selling AI images as art, and they are not listing that they use AI. Isn't it required to specify AI? Yes, 100%. If it wasn't required before July 9th, it surely is now. So you are able to sell AI art as is. You're also able to sell AI art placed on something else. So again, let's say I don't have anything around me, or I would try to show you, but let's say this big candle, for example, you can do AI art and place it on the candle and sell that as a print on demand item. However, the AI art has to be from your original prompt. That is the key. That is the most important piece. Again, this is something that I go over in the Etsy Creativity Standards announcement recap video that we posted on July 16th. Highly recommend after this, if you have not seen it, go check that out because we do go into AI. And I also have Etsy's updated AI requirements and standards link in the description of that video as well. Is it a good idea to press order complete on Etsy before item has officially shipped from my POD provider? I'm going to keep reading this, but I'm going to shake my head violently. I'm having issues with customers being slow. Message me going beyond my Etsy production time. No. 100% never say that it is a completed order if it truly isn't completed. Completed means it has hit the hands or at least the front door or mailbox of your customer's home or business or whatever address they put, because that again is not being transparent. It's being, I don't want to say unethical, but like it hasn't arrived yet, so the item has not completed yet. To be honest, no one should stop you. However, if a customer is being slow to message you, that shouldn't stop the completion rate of the item being shipped. Unless it's, of course, a personalized item. That is a problem because they're not responding to you. But if it's just a regular item, they do not have any say, or them talking to you or not talking to you is not going to hinder how long it takes to get there, completion of the order, whatever. Depending on who your print on demand provider is, they also, if synced appropriately, they also should automatically update that for you. So once they have tracking, they literally update the order in Etsy, again, if it's integrated appropriately. So you don't have to worry about clicking complete. However, if you are doing a personalized item, a set item like we talked about today, you will have to go in and manually update the tracking number or the shipping information once your POD provider gives it to you, because you didn't build it in your print on demand provider, right? So we're going to have to manually update that once you get the email that your manual order has shipped. Okay. How do you select the free shipping guarantee inside of Etsy? It's very simple. Just go to, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's settings. So go to your shop manager first, go to settings, go to options, and then shipping settings. And it should be right there where it's like little tabs at the top that says free shipping guarantee. Click on that. And then you literally can, with the click of a button, get that going. Okay, got it. All of my listings already say designed by. Do we need to do anything else? Okay, no. So if you already did everything we said appropriately, you do not have to edit any of your listings. However, if your print on demand listings are currently showing up as made by or handmade by, you will need to go in and edit them, because that is not true, because you're not making them. So we have to make sure that we are transparent. But if you have all of them in there, you do not. If it's showing up as designed by Beverly, you do not have to make any edits. You already did what you were supposed to in the curation of the listing. You are transparently showing, as long as, again, you also have your print production partner listed in the listing, like we talked about. Okay. All right, guys, I have 3 more to go through, but we are running out of time. So if you have to jump off at 11, no harm, no foul. I totally get it. You can always come back and watch the replay of this video on our YouTube channel. Just go to our playlist and go to the live section, and you can find this one very easily. But if you guys are cool with it, and some of you can stay, I am going to continue through these last 3 tips, because like I said, I was crazy and I went way over the 7 that I originally thought of. And again, if you are able to stay, and you have any questions, feel free. I will still be answering questions once we get done with the final 3. All right. Hot tip number 10. I'm going to go through these as fast as I can. So again, someone asked earlier, how do you do personalized items if you're trying to do print on demand? I want hot tip number 10 to be, do not be scared to offer those. You absolutely can offer personalized items, and they do so much better than just generic run of the mill items that everybody else can have on a marketplace like Etsy. All you have to do is come up with a process for yourself that works for your business that is going to make this as time efficient as possible. What you're going to do is basically create the listing from scratch. Again, add a listing in Etsy, not put it in print, whatever the print on demand partner you're using and syncing it. We don't want to publish it, right? We want to start from scratch, add a listing in Etsy. You want to select that it is a personalized item. So if you don't select that, they are not going to put what they want to be personalized. So let's go back to my cutting board example. Let's say the cutting board example says home on it or family on it or something. That's not a personalized section, but the last name, Gallant, is a personalized section. So while you're building out this listing, you would toggle on the personalized thing, just like, is this personalized? Toggle on yes. And then you would say, what do you need from these people in order to create this? You need their last name, or you need their baby's name, you need their dog's name, whatever your personalization offer is, you pop that in there. And then once the Etsy listing goes live, they have the ability through this little entry box that everybody can easily see to put that information in there and make your life easier. Once you get an item ordered that is a personalized item, then you basically have to say, okay, what did they want to personalize? Again, is it just a name? Is it just a word? Or is it just a phrase? If so, wherever you built the original design, let's just say Canva for now. Let's say you built it in Canva. You want to make sure that you save that document where you originally created it. Go to the document, edit the document to reflect their personalized request, upload that new, PNG, SVG, JPEG, whatever you're using, upload that into the editable item that you already curated on your POD partner's website. So again, you're going to create it from scratch in your POD partner, but you're going to save it as draft, right? So now once we have this order, we can come back to that draft, click edit, upload the new design, and then build out a manual order based on the shipping and customer information within Etsy. So I tried to make that as POD for idiots as possible, or POD for dummies as possible. I hope that was Reader's Digest version. Let me know if you have any additional questions about what that means. Hot tip number 11 is, again, we want to talk about like not being scared of. I also don't want you to be scared to offer non-POD. I know that this is a POD training, but I also want you to be like, I have to do POD. It all has to be POD. And then I have to open 3 additional shops because I also want to do digital products. I also want to do handmade. I also want to do service-based, whatever. You do not have to build 4 different shops to do all of those things. But if and only if, I recommend what you are selling, no matter what type it is, that your ideal end buyer on that shop can resonate with all of them. So for example, my business, I don't even know what you would call my business, but I basically own a digital marketing agency who teaches people just like you guys how to make money for themselves online. So I could sell a mug that says "You're doing great, sis," or "Number 1 small business owner," print on demand item. I could also sell a digital product that is an ebook guide walking them exactly through how to make money online. I could also do a service based that is, I will create a logo for your business, whatever. So as long as the end buyer can resonate with each of the different types of items, it absolutely can be a like kind of multi-purpose shop. Last but not least, but it's also broken into 2, is earlier I mentioned that you should vet multiple print on demand partners, which would be like the big or the small, the people that are actually printing the item themselves. But I also want to maybe get into looking at print on demand companies as well. Like we talked about, there are a lot out there. All you have to do is type in the best ones into Google and vet them yourself and then decide if it makes sense. Like I mentioned earlier, each of them have their own different respective catalogs with different items. So if you want to, again, don't be scared. You don't have to just work with one POD partner. I personally have worked with 5 in the past. So if you are interested in that, just vet the item like we discussed. Make sure that you trust the brand, of course. Make sure their processing and shipping times make sense. And then you totally can do that. The only little caveat here is just make absolutely sure that not only are you doing the first one that you work with as a production partner set up within Etsy, but anybody else you work with in the future, you will have to notate all of them individually as well. Okay. All right, we got one comment over here. Let me go ahead and pull that up real fast. Thank you guys there's still 170 of you guys watching this, even though I am over time. I really appreciate all of you guys tremendously. Let me go ahead and hit on this real fast. Can you mix digital items and POD items in the same shop? I believe I answered this question, but yes, you absolutely can, as long as, again, I would highly recommend that the end buyer likes both of them, or the product, no matter what type it is, speaks to that end buyer. Okay. All right, guys, that is all of the questions that we had. Of course, if you need to come back, we went over a lot today, and I went over it fast. I don't know how I did that in an hour and 5 minutes and 22 seconds. But if you guys want to ever come back and rewatch this, if you ever want to be like, I know she said something about this, but I don't remember exactly what she said, this is going to be on replay on our YouTube channel in the live playlist section. So feel free at any time to come back and drop any questions that you have. And it is me. I am the person who is responding directly to those questions. So if you guys need anything else, feel free to let me know. You know where to find me in the Facebook group, in the comments of any YouTube video. And of course, always see you guys on Thursdays. So with that said, I am done talking. I hope this helped. If it did, please drop a comment below this video that this was beneficial, so we can get out as much information to as big a community as possible and keep growing this incredible gang. Thanks guys so much, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye.